Hold on tight for the next hour. You're entering into a place, a zone called the alternative to the alternative media. It's a place, a special place where even truth seekers fear to tread.
All right, people, let's move like we've got a purpose.
Affirmative.
Okay, welcome back. Greg Anthony here on this January 5th, 2017 day on our calendar. And usually on Thursday, I start clearing off my desk with a lot of things that people send me. You know, I get these emails, Greg, you should do this, you should do this. And then I get comments about a whole bunch of things. And invariably, I run out of time in the early week, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, when I have certain things planned. But let me see if I can clear off my desk and then get to, let me tell you what I want to discuss today. Outside of many things that I have to tell you here in the beginning of the show, I do want to talk about the Jesuit connection to the flat earth. Received a couple emails on that, and I find them quite interesting. So we will discuss that. But first of all, let me give you the Jesuit Vatican quote of the day. Now, this quote came on June 27th, 1912, and it was from the Western Watchman. It's a Catholic publication, and it stated this: "The Pope is the ruler of the world. All the emperors, all the kings, all the princes, all the presidents of the world are as these altar boys of mine." And that was from the Western Watchman. Interesting. Now, what does an altar boy do? I know what an altar boy does. Well, I flunked the altar boy test. They had all these Latin words, and I became confused. But they made me the epistle reader, which was actually a better job. So I got to read the epistle because they liked my voice. And so I know what an altar boy does. He's a servant, a slave. He does everything the priest asks him to do. And basically, that's what our leaders of the world do. Now, let me give you an example of why I say that. Now, after becoming president in 2001, George Bush, the young man, dedicated a cultural center in Washington, D.C., and he dedicated it to the cyanide salesman from Poland. Now, who might that be? Oh, that might be John Paul II, he's been canonized a saint. Wow. Now, this is what the president said at the dedication on this memorial. Quote, "The best way to honor Pope John Paul II, truly one of the great men, is to take his teaching seriously, to listen to his words, and to put his words and teachings into action here in America." That was reported in Reuters, March 22, 2001. All right. Need I say more? Okay, yesterday I promised I ended the show with that comment about the movie that never got fully made, Gray State, and how the director, producer, writer James Crowley and his family were found dead in their home from gunshot wounds, and some people think that he was murdered. It's a good possibility. And the question I asked was, why do all these directors of all these apocalyptic movies, always talking about the elite and everything, why did they go on living in Hollywood a great, rich life when this guy seemed to be cut down in the prime of his life when he was doing a really cutting-edge movie, as people around him were talking about? I guess he didn't get the authority to do it. He was going to get to the truth that the elite didn't want, and they had to stop him. Because why would a man kill his children, his wife, and himself during the making of a movie that he's very, very intent on making and doing? It just makes no sense. So I said I got about through half of that presentation that I presented, and I said there was about 6 minutes left, and I'd say I'd recap basically what was said. So I kind of just did that. It was basically, check it out, Gray State, James Crowley, and see what you can find out. But it appears to be another they claim a suicide, but it doesn't make sense to me. Okay, here's one of the things I have to do. Someone sent me earlier, and I think it was even, Monday, and I couldn't get to it yet. But when I read this, I was shocked. But do you realize that in California, they've just passed a law legalizing child prostitution? Yes, you're hearing me correctly. They've legalized child prostitution. Our great governor signed the bill into law. There wasn't much publicity about it, but I'm glad one of my listeners sent it to me, and I want to get to it today. I live in California. What a travesty this law is. Now, I wanted to get the idea. How are they justifying this? And here's their thinking, the Democrat thinking. They said, we don't want to prosecute these children who are just victims. So their idea is, they don't want to hold these children responsible, so they don't want to prosecute them. Now, okay, you may say, well, yes, they are a victim. But this law makes absolutely no sense when you really look at what's going to happen. Now, these pimps that put these kids out on the street, right, are going to get away with it now because a cop has no authority to arrest the child, whether it be 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, any longer. So what the pimp will tell the kid is just say that you cannot arrest me, it's legal, and they will have to let the kid go. Now the reason that you can arrest somebody but not charge them, and what police used to do was they were going to get information from the child on who the pimp was. Cut the problem off at the source, correct? But now that's not going to happen. So you're going to see more child prostitution. It's a crazy law. It needs to be repealed. Look into it, and anybody in California, get this law off the books. You're going to see more pedophilia and more child prostitution under this law. Okay, enough on that. Okay, something, as the year starts again, there's just words that we use that outlive their usefulness and should be removed from your vocabulary. And what I'm saying is this. I'm going to give you some of the words that I think I'm never going to use on this show. And if anybody or even me uses them, we're going to be charged $25. It's going to go into a fund and given to some charity. So I'm going to call anybody out that's on my show that says these things. I'm going to even call myself out. And if I don't, you call me out. Because I don't want to say these things anymore. They just outlive their usefulness. And here's what I mean. The first one is don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm tired of that. I don't think it should be used anymore. It makes it's just, oh my God. I keep getting this vision in my head of this baby getting thrown out somewhere. It's enough of that one. Oh, this one I hate. I'd like to be a fly on the wall. I don't want to hear that ever again said anywhere. I'd like to be a fly. I'm tired of that. I keep thinking, I don't want to be a fly. Why don't we just bug these places? Do what they do to us. I've always said, let's bug Georgetown. Let's bug, the president's office. Let's bug everywhere so we know what the heck's going on. Another one. I don't know if you've heard this, but it's driving me crazy. Pushback. Now, anytime on TV now or anywhere, when somebody doesn't agree with something, they say, well, the other side is pushing back. Pushback. I don't want to hear that. Just say they have a disagreement. Use a better way to do it. I'm tired of pushing back. I get this idea that they're actually pushing them with their hands. Oh, and here's one. This one drives me absolutely nuts. At the end of the day, everyone, they're making their point. They go, at the end of the day, then it has to be concluded. I don't want to hear at the end of the day anymore. And the last one is anytime they want to do something now, it's on steroids. They use that on the word. We got to change that. We got to make this law, and it's got to be put on steroids, meaning that it's got to be stronger. I don't know. I don't want to hear that one either. Now this one, I'm really not sure about, and you decide. Knock on wood. Now, I kind of like that still. I don't know about you, but if you don't like it, let me know. Now, that list is only going to, maybe you have a few. Email me at gregbeacon@gmail.com. And like I said, if you hear me say that, fine me $25. And if anybody comes on my show and says that, or even in an email, I'm going to fine you $25. And we'll put it to a good charity. And I wonder how much money we'll make on this. Well, anyway, another thing I had to deal with. Okay, we've heard about Pizzagate. We've heard about all of that. Now, I'm convinced that they orchestrated this. They wanted it out in the open. But Trump has come back and says this. I'm not going to go in depth, but he says, Trump now says he wants to, says pedophiles should get the death penalty. All pedophiles should get the death penalty. Okay. Now, the point I want to make is, who's going to be left in Washington? There's going to be like 5 people there. So you better think about that, Mr. Trump. You might not have anybody working for you there. That'll clean out a lot of the churches. Is that going to apply to the Vatican too and all these priests? Yeah. Boy, there's going to be a lot of, how are you going to kill these people? With a guillotine? Or what are you going to do? Death penalty for pedophiles, says Trump. Okay. Look that one up. Now, we got cybersecurity and Russia going on right now in the House, or in the Senate. We got hearings going on. You've heard that, all of these emails leaked from the DNC and all that kind of stuff. They're now accusing Russia and saying that Russia's in cahoots to get Trump in the office. They want that information out there. All that Podesta stuff, they wanted that out there. What is going on? So there's a hearing on Capitol Hill today regarding that. And they're saying we got to crack down on Russia for getting involved in with our elections. They're destroying democracy through cyberspace. And I say this, there's been a study done that we have interfered just in recent times in over 81 elections where we send the CIA, we start creating groups, we affect democracy, we affect other countries' elections. We've done it 81 times. Russia's only done it 36 times. China, they haven't figured out yet. But these are the studies that are being done. And the most recent one is, how can Obama and these people actually wake up in the morning and look at themselves? Do you realize he sent over $350,000 and a team to influence the Israeli elections because he doesn't like Netanyahu? So we send people over there and all over the world, but when they do it to us, oh my God, it's a travesty. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Now there's a word. How do you guys like that one? Should I keep saying that? If not, you can't find me yet. We got to determine that's one of the words on the I call it a no talking list. But I've heard, I kind of like goose and the gander. Because I always wondered what a gander was. And then I had to look that up. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Okay, that refers to our elections, doesn't it? Now, this one is interesting, and I have to be moving along because I want to get this whole presentation of the flat earth in. But, let me leave this for tomorrow. There's mass riots going on in France and Germany. It's a long story. I don't have time to do it today, but check it out. I'm going to work on that for tomorrow. Okay, now we've got to do this. I promised to do this. Okay, I wanted to make a Jesuit connection to the flat earth theory. Now, I also believe, about 3 years ago, this whole barrage of information came out about the flat earth. I've never seen so much on the internet. I think that was controlled as well. They wanted it out there. Now, I don't know whether the earth is flat or round. I mean, I can't say positively which way it goes, but I can say this, that it's worth looking into. It could be the biggest mass deception of the world. It could be something that is put out there to make Christians look dumb. I don't, but we're going to cover it from both sides. But there is a Jesuit connection to this. And it goes to, if you really look into history, you'll see the Jesuits have more astronomers than anybody else. They still do. They got a big, huge telescope called Lucifer now. We've done that story over on the University of Arizona. And if you start checking out Jesuit astronomers throughout the course of history, it's amazing. And this all started after Copernicus in the 1500s with the heliocentric theory. So I found a good presentation regarding this, and I want to present it to you. It's about 37 minutes long, and boy, that makes my job easy today. But it's really worth looking at. And actually, the reason I promised it was a number of people emailed and asked me if I would find something on that. And I did. So anyway, but here's what somebody said about this, presenting this presentation. And it's interesting, and I want to discuss it here quickly, because this person said this about me presenting this show now. He said, the agenda of the enemy in this world is to prevent people from getting saved. Okay, remember that. Different opinions as to the shape of the earth has no bearing upon one's salvation. So to spread the agenda that somehow this was the great conspiracy of the Jesuits makes no sense. Okay, I disagree. It makes a lot of sense, because it just shows you how they got involved with even the shape of the earth. And isn't that what they're really trying to do? Change God's plan? It goes right to the heart of Genesis, doesn't it? And what the shape of the earth God presented in Genesis does not mesh, does not go together with NASA, does it? So I think it has a big bearing, and it's worth looking into. And in fact, outside of that, it's kind of fun to think, hey, I want to try to leave this earth knowing what it was, right? Is that dumb? Now, he also said this, the agenda of the enemy is to prevent people from getting saved. Okay, let's deal with getting saved. I can't save anybody. I don't think there's a preacher in the world that can save anyone. And they can try to prevent it, but they can't really do it either. Because God is the only one that can save you. Now, they may put obstacles so you don't get to God, but the preachers out there, the best of the preachers, the true Christian preachers, they can only bring you closer to God. It's eventually going to be up to you and in your relationship with God. So that's why I don't like Catholicism, because they said I could get close to God or be, priests are God. They're the ones that are going to, you kind of just think of them as God, and so you don't really have to look any farther. But a good preacher, a good Christian preacher, realizes that he can only bring you closer to God, and eventually you're going to have to make that decision. And then together you can share the fruits of his good work, his good deed, everything. But that's my take on getting saved. Okay, so let's get to this presentation, and it's actually pretty good, and it's done by a group, and I don't know all of their views. Boy, I can't find the name of it right now. World's Last Chance. Okay, but let's see if we could make some sense out of this. Here it is, and it's about 37 minutes long, so stick with me. Startling new evidence implicates the Jesuit orders as the masterminds behind his deception spanning 5 centuries. Okay, this is called the Flat Earth, Jesuits, and the Global Conspiracy. Spooky music there. Guy's got a good voice, though, here.
Recent discoveries have uncovered dates, agendas, and goals that connect the Jesuits to a massive deception for the purpose of a multifaceted end-time delusion. The design of this deeply hidden plot has been to change the perception of the masses regarding the authority of the Bible, the correct shape of the earth, the layout of the universe, and the Creator's position in it. This change in perception has prepared minds for the overwhelming delusion to come upon the world under the first woe, the fifth trumpet, prophesied in Revelation chapter 9. This delusion will be a demonic attack under the pretext of an alien invasion. Reportedly, Vladimir Lenin observed, "A lie told often enough becomes the truth." This quote is discovered within the belief of most. The Earth is a sphere. It spins through space while orbiting the Sun, hurtling thousands of kilometers an hour inside our Milky Way galaxy. So ingrained is this belief, if one speaks of the words flat Earth, listeners snicker. The mental reflex of a flat plane from which a person might fall into an infinite space creates this disrespect. A globe Earth, because unproven, is pseudoscience, yet believed worldwide and passed from generation to generation, and any who question it is mocked and ridiculed. For millennia, well-educated people believed the Earth was flat and placed at the center of the universe, enclosed there with a protective covering. In the early 16th century, Nikolai Copernicus introduced a different model of the universe in which the Sun lay at the center and the Earth revolved around it. Copernicus' heliocentric model is taught today, while the earlier geocentric model has been utterly rejected. Less than 100 years later, Galileo was persecuted by the Catholic Church for promoting Copernicus' theory and forced to recant his beliefs and spend the last years of his life under house arrest. Galileo's persecution for promoting heliocentrism is surprising, as the Catholic Church initially supported Copernicus' theories. Consider the following facts. 1. While some sources claim Copernicus never took the vows of a priest, he was a cleric and never married. Furthermore, the fact that in 1537 King Sigismund of Poland put his name on the list of 4 candidates for the vacant episcopal seat of Ermland makes it probable that, at least in later life, he had entered the priesthood. When Pope Paul III sought Copernicus for advice on how to reform the calendar, Copernicus at first demurred to answer. Later, he wrote a series of letters to the Pope containing accurate observations that actually served 70 years later as a basis for the working out of the Gregorian calendar. 3. For a long time, Copernicus refused to publish his beliefs on a heliocentric universe. Finally, in 1531, he published a brief abstract stating his theory in 7 axioms. From this, the concept spread rapidly. 4. 2 years later, Albert Windmanstadt lectured on the Copernican model before Pope Clement VII, an action for which he was richly rewarded. 5. In 1536, Cardinal Schönberg, who was Archbishop of Capua, urged Copernicus to fully publish his theory, or, at the least, have a copy made at the Cardinal's expense.
Okay, I'm going to come right back after this break, and we'll finish up with Copernicus, and we'll get into number 6, and then go on with this study. And it's good to go back in history and check these things out. Isn't it interesting how the Vatican always gets involved in these things? Back in 3 minutes on the Investigative Journal.
The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening.
The book of Revelation says, "The spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ." This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today, so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.
The following program is labeled dangerous and off limits by the supreme Jesuit command. But stand tall, people. Listen up, and you may just learn something.
Oh, dear Lord Jesus, this ain't happening, man. This can't be happening, man. This ain't happening.
Okay, let's get right back to Copernicus. And you know what? Before I do, just one little quick statement here. I find it interesting. Now, Copernicus was Polish, right? Now, my heritage is Polish. My family's from Poland on both sides. And I grew up always getting these Polish jokes thrown at me and saying, I heard all the time, Polish people are very stupid. They're not very smart. You know, how many people does it take to screw in holes does it take to screw in a light bulb? All of these jokes. But you know, after looking at this, maybe the joke is on you and all those people that were saying those jokes. Because maybe you've been following this heliocentric theory, which has no scientific foundation, started by a Pole. Okay, back to Copernicus.
1539 and 1541, Copernicus published and distributed a 66-page letter and a preliminary chapter. 7. Copernicus explained in a letter to Pope Paul III that he finally yielded to the insistent urging of Cardinal Schoenberg, Bishop Gies of Culm, and other knowledgeable men, and agreed to publish his manuscript. Copernicus' theory of a heliocentric universe was well known at the upper strata of the Catholic Church in his lifetime. While he preferred his theories published after his death, he ultimately agreed to publish his manuscripts on the persistent appeals of high church officials. Catholics were not first to reject Copernicus' views, for they themselves admit opposition was first raised against the Copernican system by Protestant theologians for biblical reasons. The Catholic Church advanced Copernicus' heliocentric model, constantly urging him to spread it abroad, together with other theories that opposed the sacred scriptures. The necessity to change public conception from an accurate belief in a flat, enclosed earth to a false belief grew slowly. With sapient baby steps, the whole world would become amenable to the final delusion of an alien invasion under the first woe. The Catholic hierarchy had the perfect opportunity to lay groundwork for a global deception to culminate in this Earth's final generation. This deception required a globe Earth spinning throughout the vast reaches of space inhabited by aliens and other sentient life forms. These contrivances created doubt in the Bible, putting science ahead of Scripture, which advises mankind the earth is enclosed and unmoving. They also place the Creator far away from his creation by presenting a universe unimaginably vast. To engineer this transformation in belief, the newly created Society of Jesus, commonly known as the Jesuits, became the agents of change. The Roman Catholic Church was waging war on the new Protestantism believers having come from their own system, while Copernicus was resisting appeals to publish his theory of a heliocentric solar system. Under the approval of Pope Paul III, the Jesuit order was established in 1540, and Copernicus dedicated his book, Revolutions of the Heavenly Bodies, to this very same Pope. This newly formed order, the perfect instrument to implement a clandestine operation for the Pope of Rome, began changing the public perception of the authority of the Scriptures, the earth, and the Creator through the Copernican Revolution. By deliberately teaching their followers to invite demonic spirits into their human spirits, the Jesuits exposed what manner of mankind each truly was. The Jesuit founder, Ignatius of Loyola, had taught all members of the Society of Jesus certain spiritual exercises which made them practical, mind-controlled slaves to Satan. They were to daily become as corpses or cadavers, that they unhesitatingly obey the will of their superiors. In opening the mind to the influence of demons, these Jesuits brought in a spirit of malevolence, a demonic intelligence that was unprecedented in Catholicism. Now, satanically controlled, the Jesuit priests became successful in every evil endeavor. They became infamous for their skill at deception and subterfuge, their ability to infiltrate governments and institutions of learning, their standing as advisors to kings and new leaders in education. The very influence they wielded was tantamount to becoming humanly insurmountable. Working through government entities and in the field of world education, they guide scientific research to further their own ends and present the biggest lie of all time, a globe Earth. Following Copernicus' publications, it is probable the Jesuit order has produced more astronomers than any other demographic in Europe. That, ostensibly, a religious order should produce so many scientists should cause surprise. However, as these scientists have focused nearly exclusively in but one area, this gives us reason to question. Upon rejection of the sacred scriptures, which teach us Earth is a fixed, immovable object under a protective covering, a nefarious foundation was laid. Atop this were built perversions designed to force humanity to doubt the very word of our Father Yahuwah. With the biblical geocentric model rejected, a new explanation was required. A globe Earth, its orbit of the sun for millions of miles every year, illimitable realms of space with billions of galaxies, each composed of billions of stars with worlds innumerable. All this became necessary to explain the new heliocentric model of the universe, and mankind, over a short time, lost his divine significance. Thereafter was created an environment within which the writings of Charles Darwin found a receptive audience. Once science showed the Bible wrong, the disparager then diverged from her religious guise altogether. Anything suddenly became possible. There was nothing above question, including how the earth seemed to appear in the vastness of space with all else, and the existence of extraterrestrials. The Big Bang Theory is, today, the leading explanation about how the universe began. At its simplest, it talks about the universe as we know it, starting with a small singularity, then inflating over the next 13.8 billion years to the cosmos that we know today. Priest Andrew Pinsent holds advanced degrees in theology from the Pontifical Gregorian University in Rome, as well as a doctorate in particle physics from Oxford. In January 2015, he wrote, "Being both a priest and a former particle physicist at CERN, I am often asked to give talks on faith and science. Quite often, young people ask me the following question: how can you be a priest and believe in the Big Bang? To which I am delighted to respond, we invented it. Or more precisely, priest Georges Lemaitre invented the theory that is today called the Big Bang, and everyone should know about him." The author of the Big Bang Theory was none other than the Jesuit-trained priest Georges Lemaitre. On October 28, 2014, Sarah Kerr reported,
Speaking to members of the Pontifical Academy of Science, the Pope said it is possible to believe in both, insisting God was responsible for the Big Bang from which all life evolved.
L'inizio del mondo non è opera del caos che deve a un altro la sua origine, ma deriva direttamente da un principio supremo che crea per amore. Il Big Bang, che oggi si pone all'origine del mondo, non contraddice l'intervento creatore divino, ma lo esige. L'evoluzione nella natura non contrasta con la nozione di creazione, perché l'evoluzione presuppone la creazione degli esseri che si evolvono.
Follow from cause to effect. 1. Without a globe Earth circling the sun through the far reaches of space, we do not have the Big Bang. 2. Without the Big Bang, we do not have evolution. 3. Without evolution, we are more likely to accept creation as an act of intelligent design by a divine creator. The Roman Catholic Church does, in fact, accept evolution. Acceptance of evolution and its integral law of survival of the fittest gave rise to the bloodbaths of the 20th century in which millions lost their lives. Numerous researchers have established incontrovertible connections between the Vatican and the Nazi Party. Regardless of the level of collaboration between the Vatican and the Nazis, what happened after World War II is even more significant. Operation Paperclip smuggled hundreds of Nazi scientists, including top SS officers on trial for war crimes, into the United States for use in America's Cold War space race. One of these Nazi Party members, Wernher von Braun, was promoted to head up NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center. Under Operation Paperclip, some 350 German scientists and former intelligence agents were given visas and well-paying jobs. Many of these scientists had questionable pasts. Braun himself had been an active member of the Nazi Party, and his colleague at NASA, Dr. Hubertus Struggold, a specialist in aviation medicine, had performed experiments on concentration camp inmates. The purpose of this massive and illegal undertaking appears to have been for the establishment of a worldwide authority on all things relating to space and astronomy. NASA became the public face of space. It has long acted as a front, providing an unsuspecting world with pseudoscience legitimized by the backing of the U.S. government. NASA is its own monopoly. It controls the dissemination of public information on astronomy while hiding facts it does not want the public to know. While many countries and universities have observatories, always it is the statements, photographs, and discoveries of NASA that make the news headlines. With NASA in charge of the flow of astronomical information to the public, it appears the Vatican has remained a central player in the truly accurate astronomy not being released to the public. For hundreds of years, the Vatican has owned more telescopes and observatories than any organization, private university, or government. NASA and the Vatican jointly own Lucifer, the world's largest binocular telescope. According to the official Vatican website, the Vatican Observatory is one of the oldest astronomical institutes in the world. And yet, where are the photographs? Where are the news releases of the latest discoveries? Precisely what have the Jesuit astronomers been doing for the last 500 years? Only they know. NASA's public release of information promoting the idea of an expanding, thus ever larger universe of incomprehensible size has led to the supposition there must be alien life on other planets. After all, if the Big Bang produced life on Earth, why couldn't intelligent life have evolved elsewhere? In combination with Hollywood and the science fiction genre, NASA has created an environment in which contact with extraterrestrial life forms is both fearful yet desirous. A recent book may hold the key to understanding the final steps in this long conspiracy to delude the final generation. Authors Tom Horn and Chris Putnam recently published a mind-boggling book in which they allege the Vatican actively seeks extraterrestrial life with their new Lucifer telescope. The book, Exo Vaticana, Petrus Romanus, Project Lucifer, and the Vatican's astonishing plan for the arrival of an alien savior, asserts the Vatican is waiting for an extraterrestrial savior. In researching their book, Horn and Putnam were granted permission to visit the observatory on Mount Graham, which hosts the Vatican Advanced Technology Telescope, VAT, in September 2012. Not only were they able to discuss the study of deep space with the Jesuit astronomers there, but they also gained access to one of the top Vatican astronomers in Rome. Horn said Brother Guy Consolmagno, who has also been called the papal astronomer, told the authors some astounding information during 5 interviews. He says, without apology, that very soon the nations of the world are going to look to the aliens for their salvation, said Horn. Consolmagno also gave the authors private Vatican documents which reveal much of the thinking of high-level theologians and astronomers within the Church. Horn said these documents show that they believe that we are soon to be visited by an alien savior from another world. These statements are not that shocking when the Vatican's ever-evolving stance on science and space is understood. On May 12, 2014, Pope Francis expressed a willingness to baptize extraterrestrials who indicated a desire for baptism. While the comment was clearly tongue-in-cheek, it made international headlines, this one crowing, "Cool Pope is so cool that he's willing to baptize Martians." The net effect? It removed the idea from science fiction and transferred it to the realm of possibility. Talking about it as if it were possible gives rise to minds more accustomed to the construct. After the Vatican hosted a 5-day conference on extraterrestrial life, Catholic priest Jonathan Morris appeared on U.S. Fox News to answer some questions.
How would it change the Church's teaching then? Well, if you consider for a moment, if you determine that there is extraterrestrial life there.
Well, one thing would be fascinating would be not only extraterrestrial life, but if it were extraterrestrial intelligent life forms. That would definitely make us go back and say, maybe our understanding of perennial truths needs to be updated. Now, the way we look at it is this. It's not about whether or not God was the creator, but rather how he created. It's not a question of whether original sin, this Adam and Eve story, is true or not, but our understanding of how that played out. So it's growing in our understanding of perennial truths.
I think that's an interesting explanation there. And I think also if it were determined, Father, that would be an earthquake, would it not?
It would be, and especially if the Vatican were involved in accepting.
Questioning the cosmology of the earth often leads to people doubting Scripture and its author, and prepares the way for the overwhelming deception prophesied in Revelation chapter 9. Earlier it was stated, the Catholic hierarchy was presented with a perfect opportunity to lay the groundwork for a global deception to culminate in the final generation. The purpose for this intricate, multi-layered deception is to deceive the world's masses and create a desired outcome. To usher the world into a united one-world religion with the Pope reigning supreme, the devil will create a problem. This problem among Earth's citizenry will demand a solution. The solution will have a predetermined outcome. Our wise Creator has revealed this culmination of deception in Revelation 9. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven onto the earth. And to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power as the scorpions of the earth have power. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of Yah in their foreheads. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion, when he striketh a man. And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. The key to unlocking this prophecy is found in the phrase bottomless pit, from the Greek word abusos, also translated deep in Luke 8:31. Demons beg to be sent into the swine rather than back to the bottomless pit, the same as the English word abyss. The star fallen from heaven refers to Satan, and when he is given the key to the bottomless pit, he releases hordes of demons onto the earth, appearing as an alien invasion from space, the first woe. These evil angels, as extraterrestrials, will have a distinct appearance and will launch a horrific attack on the earth, lasting for 150 literal days. The trumpets are both a solemn warning and a merciful invitation. They warn probation will soon close and invite all on earth to accept Yahuwah's free gift of eternal life. Those who heed the trumpet's warnings show their loving gratitude by living in compliance to Yahushua's will and are in obedience to all the requirements of his divine law.
Okay, I wish I had some more time. I got about 10 minutes to go on this. And let me know if you want me to do it tomorrow, finish it up. I'll listen to the rest of it and at least capsulize it for you. But quite interesting. Those of you who agree with it, let me know. Those of you who have other thoughts, do that as well. At Greg Beacon, that's GregBeacon @gmail.com. All right, thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow, Friday, on the Investigative Journal here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. That's crosstheborder.org.
I know you all want answers, and believe me, so do I, and I'll do my best to get them.
Despite Nicolas Cage's promise to do his best to get left behind rapture answers for us, don't hold your breath. Not everyone believes Left Behind is true prophecy. Some may even regard as conspiratorial the mainstream re-release of the Left Behind movie, with actor Nicolas Cage portraying the main character, as an attempt to further reinforce in the minds of all this perception of false prophecy, in order to condition the masses for the play about to begin. If you want true Bible prophecy answers, get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. The author exposes the Latin rapture origin, the 7-year tribulation deception, true Bible revelation of Daniel's 70 weeks, the abomination of desolation, the restrainer, America in the Revelation, the image of the beast and the mark of the beast, and the truth about God's chosen people, and so much more about Bible prophecy. This book will shatter the Left Behind paradigm of future events. Get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. That's crosstheborder.org.